Okay, in this class, let us try to cover the concepts of magnetic flux and EMF induced in a bit detail. Okay, so today's and tomorrow's class, right? So we will see a bit of problems from your Allen material. Okay, right. Now what we have discussed in Faraday's law of induction is that the induced EMF's magnitude will be given by the rate of change of magnetic flux with respect to time. Right? And here, if you have seen the last but one class, so there from that is, if you remember, it was University of Pennsylvania, right? University of Pennsylvania. So let me write that. Okay, Pennsylvania, something was that, right? Now there, if you had seen, you there was a magnets this way, right? So say this was North Pole and this was South Pole. Okay, South Pole, and in between them they dropped an aluminum ring. Okay, if you remember that experiment, right? So they dropped an aluminum ring, correct? Now when they drop the ring, so obviously we will know that due to the you can explain it by Lenz's law, right? So due to Lenz's law, you will see that as soon as it crosses this region, that is as soon as it crosses the magnetic field, right? So there it will slow down. Okay, it will slow down for a moment, and finally once it clears the magnetic field here, so again it will start falling under the influence of gravity, correct? Right? Now this can also be understood in one more way, one more similar case, that is, say you have a ring. Okay, let us take the same ring on a table. Okay, say this is a ring which is kept on a table and this is an oblique view. Okay, now say we have a magnet. Okay, so this is a magnet, correct? North pole and south pole. Okay, so you can keep it the other way also, not a problem. Say you will simply drop it. Okay, when you drop it, okay, once this magnet is that is, you can say, before the magnetic field lines of this magnet, okay, it starts linking with the aluminum ring here. Okay, say it is quite far. Okay, so since if it is quite far, its acceleration will be equal to g. Okay, that is acceleration due to gravity. Now once it comes closer and closer, okay, so once it comes closer and closer to the loop, so obviously the magnetic field, right, the magnetic field of this bar magnet linking with the coil, it keeps increasing, correct? So it keeps increasing. So current will be induced. Okay, a current will be induced in such a way that it will oppose the motion of the magnet, correct? So here I am talking about a aluminum ring, fine. So I think you can guess now. So the magnetic flux, right, the magnetic flux linking with the loop, it is increasing if you are dropping the coil, if you are dropping the magnet, sorry. Okay, now the induced current, it has to be anti-clockwise. Say this is from the top view. If you observe the induced current, it has to be anti-clockwise, so that due to this induced current, so you will have a net magnetic field upwards. Okay, so this is the magnetic field due to the induced current, which is that pink current I, whatever I have drawn in the loop, correct? Right, so this is the induced current, right? IN, let us say. Right, now therefore once the magnet is close, once it gets closer and closer to this loop, so obviously the acceleration will be less than g. Okay, so remember this, fine. Okay, now what happens if you have a small cut? What happens if you have a small cut in the aluminum ring? Let us see. Okay, if you have a small cut in the aluminum ring, that is, okay, so let me write one more diagram. Okay, so you have a small cut in the aluminum ring, let us say. Okay, now this much portion, it is not there. Okay, so it has been cut, right? So what happens in this case? If you can guess, see, again what we are going to do is, again this experiment was repeated there also, right? Correct. So if you are dropping this north pole, that is, if you are dropping a bar magnet, you will see that throughout the journey, that is, it comes closer and closer to the loop, it passes into this loop, correct? It passes into this aluminum ring. Let us not call it as a loop, right? It passes through the aluminum ring with the same acceleration, which is acceleration due to gravity. Now what happened here? Does it mean that EMF is not induced? What is the difference between these two cases here? Here we have a aluminum ring, okay, now without any cut. Okay, that is, there is a closed path for the current. Okay, so what you can see here is that there is a closed path for the current. Okay, so here we have closed path for current, that is IIN. Okay, now since we have a small cut here, okay, the same aluminum ring or similar aluminum ring will cut a small portion. Okay, now in this case, as the magnet falls, okay, as the magnet falls, the flux through this you can say ring which has been cut, it changes. Okay, but what we need to understand here is that when the magnet falls, okay, so when the magnet falls, so obviously there will be a change in the magnetic flux and EMF will be induced. So here EMF is induced, but it is induced at the ends of the conductor. Okay, it is induced at the ends of the conductor, that is ends of the gap, you can say. Okay, so here at these ends, okay, at these ends you will see EMF. Okay, you will see EMF as I told you, just remember it as the potential difference. Okay, so you will see a potential difference between these two ends. Okay, now what happens in the first case? In the first case, EMF is induced, no doubt in that. Okay, so EMF is induced. Now because of this EMF, okay, because of this EMF, you know, current will flow only if there is a potential difference. Okay, so EMF is induced, and since you are seeing a closed path, this EMF, induced EMF, will give rise to this induced EMF will give rise to induced current. Okay, induced EMF will give rise to induced current. Okay, right, now here EMF will be induced across the gaps. Okay, across the gap, right? But since there is no path for the current to flow, since there is no closed path, so the current will not flow. Okay, now we can say since there is no closed path, comma, the current will not flow. Okay, that is induced current is not there, induced EMF is present. Okay, remember, whenever you see such cases, induced EMF will be present. Okay, but there is no closed path in this particular case, that is when you cut aluminum ring at a small place, that is when you give a small cut in the ring. Okay, aluminum ring, right? Since there is no closed path, the current in the ring is 0, or you can say the current in the ring is 0, that is the induced current. Okay, that is the induced current. Okay, this induced current is obviously due to the induced EMF. Fine, right? Okay, now yeah, so what happens here is that if you observe the motion of the magnet, so when the magnet is getting closer and closer to the loop, so its acceleration will decrease. Okay, so that means the force, if you look at the forces acting on this, if you look at the forces acting on this magnet, the forces will be like this. So you have gravitational force Fg, let us say. Okay, and this is the force exerted by the induced, that is magnetic field produced by the induced current. Okay, it's like, you know, right? So this end, this end of the loop, okay, this end of the loop, it will start behaving like north pole. Now this end of the loop, it will start behaving as south pole. Okay, now you know north and north pole will repel, right? Okay, so this force you can call it as force, you can say repulsive force. Okay, so repulsive force. So therefore the net force, okay, so the net force will actually be downwards. Okay, so the net force, you can say it is given by gravitational force minus the repulsive force. Okay, gravitational force minus repulsive force. Okay, that is all. Okay, nice. Right, now here in this case, since there is no induced current, okay, since there is no induced current, you will see only one force which is acting on this, so that will be gravitational force only. Okay, so the net force itself is the gravitational force, and you know this will fall freely under gravity, so therefore the acceleration is same as acceleration of the magnet is same as acceleration due to gravity. Okay, fine. So I hope you got this point, right? Okay, now based on this, let us take an example problem given in your NCERT book. Fine. Now they're asking you, predict the polarity of the capacitor in this situation described by figure 6.9. Okay, now what are they saying? What are you saying here? We have two bar magnets whose unlike poles, that is whose opposite poles are facing each other. So therefore you can see magnetic fields between them. Okay, magnetic field which is clearly passing through the loop. All right, now here what they have done is they have actually kept a capacitor. I think you know a bit of capacitor now. Okay, right, so they have kept a capacitor. Now you are seeing a strong magnetic field through the loop, correct? All right, now what you are doing is the coil, the loop has been kept there. Okay, the loop has been kept there, and you are bringing these magnets close to each other as indicated by the arrow mark. Okay, as indicated by the arrow mark here, you are bringing them closer. So if you are bringing them closer, what will happen? The magnetic field will increase, correct? So the magnitude of the magnetic field increases, you can say. Okay, it will increase. So obviously, so the magnetic flux. Okay, so this tells you that the magnetic flux through the loop, okay, through the loop increases. Okay, so through the loop actually increases, right? Now as I've told you how to consider, that is, okay, now let me make another copy here. Yeah, so okay, now you know that the magnetic flux is increasing as explained from this diagram. Okay, so this is just a copy, right? Now how do you think the magnetic flux, sorry, they are asking you the polarity of the capacitor. Okay, so the magnetic flux is increasing, is it not? Now the magnetic flux is increasing. Now as I told you, this is the end which is towards you, correct? So that is the green semicircular portion, it is towards you. Now the you can say the red semicircular portion is away from you, that is it is on the other side. Okay, so how do you think the current has to be induced? Magnetic flux is increasing, so clearly magnetic flux is increasing. So the current will be induced. Okay, the current will be induced in such a way that it will oppose the change in the flux, that is the increase in the flux. Okay, so if this is you, say, okay, this is you who are sitting on this magnet number 1, you can say, or magnet number 2. Okay, so you are sitting on magnet number 2. Okay, now what you observe is that the current, right, the current, it has to flow in such a way that it will oppose the increase in the flux. Okay, now if you observe from this perspective, okay, see, you are sitting on magnet number 2 exactly on the south pole. Okay, now for you the loop will look like this. See, this is the semicircle portion, half of the semicircle. Now this is the other half, correct? This is the other half. Now okay, now you have the capacitor somewhere here. Okay, now this is the capacitor, and this is the capacitor, right? Now the magnetic field, it is actually towards you again, correct? So the magnetic field is towards you right, and it is increasing, magnetic field is increasing, right? Now how the current should flow? It should flow in such a way that it will try to decrease the magnetic flux, correct? It will try to decrease the magnetic flux. So obviously the current should flow in clockwise direction, is it not? The current will flow in clockwise direction. Okay, now since you have a capacitor here, okay, the current will flow until the capacitor is charged. Okay, so current will flow until, okay, you learn about this, okay, if you have not learnt already. Current will flow until the capacitor is charged. So after that, once the capacitor is fully charged, you don't see any current flowing. Okay, so basically what is happening is, say, I'll tell you one important thing about capacitor. Say this is a capacitor. Now capacitor, it is a combination of two circuits, two plates, okay, two conductors, you can say, not circuits. It is a combination of two conductors. In this case we have two parallel plates, we'll say. Okay, so these are parallel plates. Okay, capacitor is a combination of two conductors, in this case parallel plates, right? Now when you connect a battery, right, so when you connect a battery, now we know that the potential difference of the battery is V, let us say. Okay, now what this battery does is it will charge the capacitor, we'll say. Okay, so it will charge the capacitor so that after a long time the charges, that is, see, this is the positive terminal of the capacitor and this is the negative terminal of the capacitor, right? Now the plate which is connected to positive terminal, it will be positively charged. Now the plate which is connected to the negative terminal, it will be negatively charged, we'll say. Okay, now there is one more way to understand this. It is quite simple. Now what do we mean by positive charges physically? I mean practically at the atomic scale. What do you mean by positive charges? So positive charges, we'll consider it as positive charges. They refer to deficiency of electrons, vacancy for electron, correct? So deficiency, just a sec. Yeah, positive charges, they actually refer to deficiency of negative charges, that is electrons, we can say. Since we are talking about conductors, obviously electrons are the only charges which are mobile, correct? Electrons are the only charges which will move, right? Now what this battery does is, it will, earlier both the plates are neutral, let us say. Okay, earlier both the plates are neutral. Neutral means the net charge on both of them are 0. Okay, now this battery, what it does is, it will remove some of the electrons. Okay, it will remove some of the electrons here. So when it is removing electrons, obviously you are left with positive charges. Why? Because earlier the plate A, the left side plate, it was neutral. Okay, so it is removing some electrons and these electrons will be transferred to the rightmost plate. Okay, these electrons will be transferred to the rightmost plate. Okay, so obviously when you transfer these electrons to the rightmost plate, that is through the circuit, that is through the battery, this will happen. Okay, so when you are transferring these electrons through the circuit, so these electrons will come and settle here. So this is how the capacitor will get charged actually. Okay, right. So if you understand this concept, then you can clearly see here that this EMF, that is the induced EMF. Okay, so the induced EMF, it will try to remove few electrons here. Okay, so electrons are removed actually from this end. Okay, electrons are removed and they are put on the other plate. Okay, so this is one more simple way to understand, that's all. Okay, so electrons are removed here. Okay, electrons are removed here. Okay, and yeah, just a second. Yeah, first electrons will be removed from the topmost plate, correct? Electrons are removed from the topmost plate, so they will get positively charged because loss of electron, it will result in positive charges. Now those electrons will be taken like this and they'll be put up here. This job is done by the induced EMF. Okay, see how is the electron flow? Electron flow is this way, is it not? Electron flow is this way. So here also you can clearly understand that the electron flow is this way, anti-clockwise, correct? But the direction of the current, see the pink arrow. Okay, the pink arrow is actually telling you the direction of the current. So the direction of the current is this way. So here also you can clearly understand that the direction of the electron flow will be opposite to that of the direction of the induced current. Okay, now we can say this way also. Now in the process of charging the capacitor, okay, in the process of charging the capacitor, the current will flow this way. Okay, in the process of charging the capacitor, the current will flow this way. So you can clearly see this red arrow, it actually tells you the motion of electrons, right? Electron path is this way. So I think you can compare. Okay, you can compare these two circuits. All right, fine. So this is how the polarity, that is the capacitor, will actually get charged. So you can say the plate A, right? So plate A, it is positively charged. Okay, and plate B is negatively charged. Okay, plate A is positively charged and plate B is negatively charged. Okay, see the polarity of plate A will be positive with respect to the plate B in the capacitor. Okay, so that is the answer. All right, fine. Let us see few problems from your Allen material. It says the first one, let us take a coil of 100 tons, 5 centimeter square area is placed in external magnetic field of 0.2 Tesla in such a way that it makes an angle 30 degrees with the field direction. Calculate magnetic flux through the coil. Okay, so they have given 5 centimeter square area is placed in external magnetic in such a way that it makes an angle 30 degree with the field direction. Okay, so let us try to solve that. Okay, so N is 100, A is 5 centimeter square, B is 0.2 Tesla. So if you read the question again, they have given area 5 centimeter square is placed in external magnetic field in such a way that it makes an angle 30 degrees with the field direction. Here they did not mention anything about the area vector. Okay, so say the area is like this. Okay, so say this is the oblique view of the area. So the area they have given it as 5 centimeter square. Okay, now they are saying it makes area makes 30 degrees with the field direction. So the magnetic field, it is making 30 degrees with the area. So this is the meaning. Okay, so this angle it is actually 30 degrees. Say this is a line which is on that area. Okay, right, so this is actually 30 degrees. Okay, now if I draw the area vector of this 5 centimeter square, it will be this way, is it not? So that is why rough diagram always helps. Okay, so B is like this, B is like this. Now what is the angle between area vector and the magnetic field vector? So it happens to be 60 degrees. Okay, so this is important. Okay, right, now what do we know about flux linkage? So the net flux, right? So the net flux, we'll write it as flux through each loop. Okay, flux through each loop multiplied by the number of turns. Okay, so therefore flux through each loop, so we know it as B A cos theta, otherwise B dot A you can write multiplied by N. So this will be N B A cos theta. You can even write it as N dot N times B dot A. Okay, so both are right, any one you can use. Fine. Okay, right, now let us put this in this equation. So the net flux, will get it as N B A cos theta. So we'll write it as N B A cos theta. Now number of turns is 100, magnetic field is 0.2, area is 5 centimeter square they have given. So be sure to keep it in SI units, meters, right? Square, centimeter square. Okay, then cos 60 will get. Okay, angle between magnetic field and the area vector. So that is actually 60 degrees. So mind that, and we'll write cos 60. Okay, so this will be cos 60. So this will get it as 100 into 0.2 into 5 into 10 power minus 4 into 1 by half. So this will get it as 0.1. Now we'll get 100 into 0.1 as 10 power. Yeah, that's all. 10 into 5 into 10 power minus 4. So finally we'll get it as 5 into 10 power minus 3 Weber. Okay, so remember, you can even write WB short form. Okay, right, so 5 into 10 power minus 3 Weber is the magnetic flux through that area. Let us see the second one. So second one, they are saying a coil of N turns A, area A is the area and it has N turns, is placed in uniform transverse magnetic field B. If it is turned through 180 degree about one of its diameter in 2 seconds, find rate of change of magnetic flux through the coil. Okay, so is placed in uniform transverse magnetic field means what? So transverse magnetic field means the area is perpendicular. You can say the plane of the area, right? The plane of the area is perpendicular to the magnetic field. Now you are rotating it by 180 degrees about one of its diameter in 2 seconds. Find the rate of change of magnetic flux through the coil. Okay, rate of change of magnetic flux. Okay, so that we need to find out. Okay, so they have given N as the number of turns, A is the area of the loop. Okay, then as you can see yes, if I draw a line on that area, so that line will be perpendicular to the magnetic field. So that is all it says. Fine. So if you can draw the area vector is actually this way. Okay, the area vector you can draw it like this. Fine. So let us say the area is equal to A. Okay, right. Now you are rotating through, that is you are rotating it by 180 degrees. Okay, so when you rotate it by 180 degrees, now let us look at the angle between A and B here. So angle between A and B, say angle between area vector and magnetic field vector is 0 here. Okay, so you can say theta is equal to 0 degrees. Okay, now you are rotating it by 180 degrees. Okay, so try to imagine it in a 3D perspective. Okay, so about this axis we are rotating it by 180 degrees in 2 seconds. Okay, in 2 seconds we will rotate it. So you will get the diagram this way now. Okay, so the coil has been rotated. Now its area vector, it is actually this way. Okay, its area vector is actually this way now. Fine. Now what is the angle between B and theta? So it will actually be 180 degrees now. Okay, it is actually 180 degrees. Okay, right. So what can we say here? Initial flux. Okay, so initial flux, right? So that will be given as B dot A. So that is B A cos 0. Okay, so B A cos 0. Yeah, so we can write it as B A cos 0. So cos 0 is gone, it is 1. Okay, now final flux we can write it as B A cos 180. Okay, so cos 180 degrees is minus 1. Okay, now say at T1, okay, at T1 the position was that is angle between them is 0. So T1 you can take it as, okay, so let us say time taken. Okay, so time taken is, let us say 2 seconds. After 2 is equal to 2 seconds, you will see the change in the flux. Initial fluxes happened at say 0 seconds, final flux will be at 2 seconds. Okay, so that's all. So rate of change of flux means how fast the flux is changing. They're not asking about change of flux, how fast the flux is changing. So that is what rate of change of flux means. Okay, so we are actually saying the change in flux delta phi divided by change in time. Okay, right, that is divided by time. Okay, how much time it takes, right? So 5f. so what did we get here? So you can say here, yeah, sorry, since we have n number of turns, right? Yeah, since we have n number of turns, be sure to add n here. So here also we can write n. Okay, so initial fluxes n B A itself. Now final fluxes minus MBA. Okay, so this will be minus NBA because cos 180 is minus 1. Okay, so final minus initial, so we'll get it as minus NBA minus of NBA again. Okay, whole thing divided by 2 seconds. Okay, 2 seconds. So let us write it as 2 only. So we will get it as minus 2 NBA divided by 2 seconds. So we'll get it as minus NBA. Otherwise, if you want the magnitude, so what does this minus sign tells you? That the final fluxes, that is the change in the flux, right? So final flux is actually this way. That is, it says it is actually if you decide the area vector. Okay, see, we are deciding on the area vector initially. Okay, so you know we can draw area vectors in, that is in both the ways, right? So if you have an area, say this is a square of, say, like some 10 centimeter square example. So you can consider area vector this way and this way also. But since we have considered the area vector for calculation this way, okay, say this is the phase 1 and phase 2. Okay, so you can say phase 1 and the opposite phase is phase 2. Okay, so this is area vector which is coming out of phase 1, will say area vector which is coming out of phase 2, right? Now since we have decided on the area vector initially, that is it is through one of the phases, now the same phase we have to keep in mind. Okay, right, now the change in the flux it will actually be NBA, right? So rate of change of flux, sorry, right? So magnitude, if you consider magnitude, you can simply say it is NBA itself. Okay, so that is the answer. Fine. Okay, now let us look into the next question. Third one, a square cube of side A is placed in uniform magnetic field B. Find the magnetic flux through each face of the cube. Okay, now this is interesting. Now what we'll do is, we will decide on the area vectors initially. Okay, we'll decide on the area vectors. You just need to find out the magnetic flux through the through this. Okay, now magnetic field B they have given. So say this is problem number 3. Okay, now I can write 6 area vectors. Okay, I can write 6 area vectors. See, for this surface CB, that is ABCD. Okay, for surface ABCD, I can take area vector this way. Correct? I can take area vector this way. Fine. Now for the surface, yeah. So what is that? EFGH. Okay, for the surface EFGH. So I could have taken the area vector this way. Okay. So say it is outward. You can take it inward also, not a problem. Okay. Fine. So, and again, so remaining 4, we will get it like this. But if you observe the 4 surfaces, the other 4 surfaces except ABCD and EFGH, okay, so the angle between B and those area vectors are perpendicular. Okay, so since the flux is given by BA cos theta. Now theta is the angle between B and A, right? Now for these 4 surfaces, that is CDHG. Okay, so CDHG, then ABFE. Okay, so I think you got the remaining 4 surfaces, right? Now for them, the area vector is actually perpendicular to the magnetic field direction. So therefore, there is no flux through the surfaces ABFE, then AEHD. Okay, then that is 2 surfaces which are on the bottom bottom and top, that is top surface and bottom surface. Let me mark that. So this face, okay, so top and bottom, no flux. Okay, now here also, that is this surface and this surface, so you don't have any flux. Okay, you don't have any flux. Fine, right? So let us come back here. Right. Okay, now if you try to calculate the flux, it's easy. Now we can say flux through that is ABCD, flux through the area ABCD, you can write it as B into A into cos 0 will get. Okay, so B into A into cos 0, so we can write it as B A square. Now cos 0 is 1. Okay, now flux through EFGH. Okay, now flux through EFGH will get it as B A cos 180. Okay, so that will be B into A square into minus 1, so that will be minus BA square. Okay, so the negative sign, it simply tells you that the magnetic field is this way from right to left, but sorry, from left to right. Now the area vector is actually from right to left, that is all. Okay, so magnetic field, as you can see, it is marked here already. Okay, so this is the magnetic field line B. Okay, the magnetic field line is marked here. Fine. So negative sign means it is opposite to the direction of the the flux is actually in the direction. Yeah, it is in the negative direction. So that is minus BA square will say. Okay, fine. Right. So you have decided, we have decided on the area vector, and if the flux is coming in the direction, if the magnetic field lines are this way, okay, if the magnetic field lines are this way, then we'll say the flux is positive. If the magnetic field lines are in the direction opposite to that of area vector, we'll say flux is negative. That is all. Okay, right. So yeah, let us remaining, I think you can do it. So please try doing. So here you have to use dot product for 5th question. Okay, so we'll continue in the next class. Thank you.